Comedy legend Louis Black is bringing Goodbye Yeller Brick Road, the final tour, to Steelhouse on Sunday, February 25th. Tickets go on sale Friday, November 17th at 10 a.m. Get yours at steelhouseomaha.com.
With Kroger brand products from Baker's, you can make all your favorite things this holiday season. Because Kroger brand's proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Baker's, fresh for everyone.
Enjoy basketball, soccer, and all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code LIBERTY and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. Plus, when you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code LIBERTY and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Now you're winning with the king of sportsbooks. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Hollywood Casino Morgantown.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, dating expert Damona Hoffman gives us all the rules about online dating.
People always want to know what my dating rules are. Number 1 was always exchange 3 messages before you give a guy your number. Number 2, of course, move offline as quickly as possible. Rule number 3, don't let him know how interested you are. Play it cool before the first date. Rule number 4, have a brief phone call before setting the date. Rule number 5, always meet at a place that's close by and you're familiar with. Rule number 6, stay for only 1 hour. Rule number 7, have only 1 drink. And rule number 8, don't put out.
Today on the show, dating expert Damona Hoffman gives us the rules for online dating and then shares a story about how she broke them all. Stay close.
Hey, my name is Damona Hoffman, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 10 years, or you're a new listener, you got a lot of catching up to do, by the way. But welcome to Storyworthy. I'm so glad you guys are here. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the story last week with comedian Bill Dawes. Damona, did you by any chance hear the story from Bill Dawes?
I did not hear that yet. I heard Kevin Nealon.
You know what?
But-
Oh, I love Kevin Nealon. You know what? Now that I think about it, Bill Dawes' episode hasn't dropped yet, so you couldn't have heard it.
I was like, is this a quiz?
But he tells a wild story, man. Bill Dawes, he's a comedian and an actor, and he talks about being detained in Egypt.
Oh, no.
He was arrested in Egypt. This is not where you want to be arrested. Really terrifying stuff. He tells a gripping story. So go back, you guys. Listen to Bill Dawes talking about being detained in Egypt. But not today, because today I am here with a fabulous girl I met a few years ago, and we just hadn't connected. And now we're connecting. Hooray. Her name is Damona Hoffman. And Damona brings forth the topic, dating against type. Dating against type. And I know that she knows a lot about dating because she has a very popular podcast that's been going on for a long time as well. It's called Dates and Mates. And so I don't know if what the story you're going to tell today is what the impetus of that podcast was. Is that perhaps true?
It's certainly related.
You are such a go-getter, Damona, and you're an entrepreneur is what you are. And you have been working in the podcast industry for so long. Now, I met you at the Philadelphia podcast movement. Remember?
Correct. Yes, in the speakers lounge.
That's right. We were in the speakers
We were
lounge where there's
lounging.
free treats.
That's the only reason, I just like posted up there and stuffed my face and then met cool people. I mean, what could be better?
I love that. I love the Philadelphia podcast movement. I thought it was really strong.
That was a good one. And better weather than Florida in August.
Oh, yeah. I didn't go to that one. No, that was the following year in Orlando, right?
Yeah, and my hair just I have, for those who are listening and can't see me, I have very curly. I have I'm half black and half Jewish, so I have like the afro and the Jufro going. So humidity is just not my friend. And I was like, I can never leave the hotel. I cannot go outside or people will see who I really
That
am.
is so funny. No, it's true, man. Hair goes crazy in that humidity for sure. But your hair is so beautiful because it's thick. So don't you feel like you can just grab it and put it in a tail?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Especially in quarantine. I mean, this is just the land of let yourself be who you
Now,
are.
when the beauty salons got open for just a second there, I went, and the guy who cuts my hair, he's like, "Oh my God, Christine, your hair's so healthy." I'm like, "Yeah, because I haven't combed it. I haven't blow dried it. I haven't I haven't put any heat on it in 4 months."
You know what? I haven't been to the salon yet, as my roots will attest to. But I did a no heat challenge. Actually, on my podcast, I had like a hair YouTuber, and she said you have to do no heat. And you know what she actually did? Like I had been doing a television show, and when you are hosting and you have to do like the interviews in the little box,
Sure.
they want it to look the same every time because they take bits from one interview and put them in another.
Oh boy.
And my hair never looks the same every time. So I straightened it every week, Christine, and it just like murdered my hair. And she said to me, first of all, why didn't you wear a wig? And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing people could do. Of course, like all of the Real Housewives, they wear wigs all the time. I cannot believe it didn't occur to me. Instead, I just brushed through my curls with heat every single week and just murdered them. So I did this no heat challenge for like a year. It's been, I think, a year and a half since I've had heat on my hair, and it's made all the difference in the world. Hot hair tip for the story-worthy audience.
No, listen, that's amazing. You've been doing this for a year and a half. You haven't put heat on your hair in a year, over a year.
Girl.
Wow.
Just let it air dry.
That is wonderful. No, that's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, you look great. You look fantastic. And, you have done so much traveling and speaking in front of audiences, and you've just really get out there. So now, obviously, things are changed, and some things are honestly a little better in terms of the speaking world. Is that true or not?
Well, I would say it's good because we have the ability to connect with people who otherwise we would not be able to interface with in person. Certainly for the podcast business, it's been great. I host Dates and Mates, and I also host another podcast on entrepreneurship for
I
FreshBooks.
know you do. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was really looking forward to the season in traveling. I love to travel and being able to talk with people in person. And we did do a lot of the interviews in advance, like before the shutdown, but we had to completely shift our model and really go fully virtual. But it gave us access to a lot of people that otherwise I might not have been able to get on the show.
Exactly. I mean, I have been able to interview people in London and New York, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to. Now, the new podcast you're talking about is your show, I Make a Living, correct?
That's right. Yes. So I listened.
Yeah, I listened to a few of those, I Make a Living, and it's a really good show, Damona. It's very, very smart.
Thank you. And as someone who has been an entrepreneur now for the last 10 plus years, I really learned a lot from hearing other entrepreneurs. It's not a how-to business show. It's really more of an exploration into people's stories, kind of like what you do here, except for it's all around business, It's their journey.
Their business journey, and you cover their failures and their successes.
Yeah, and I've learned so much that now, like in the short hiatus that we have, I'm trying to apply to my business and dates and mates and helping people find love. But it's really very valuable. So I feel really lucky that in addition to getting to help people in love, I'm getting this valuable knowledge while also hosting a podcast.
So your show Dates and Mates. You've done so many episodes. How many episodes do you have of that?
Uh, th- I think we're
Hundreds.
coming up on 320.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hundreds.
320.
And so why do you care about hooking people up? Like what is the impetus of that?
I just know I don't want to give you too much insight into my story, but I know that when you have a real connection with someone and a bond, that it enhances every area of your life if you're with the right person. And I also know how detrimental it is if you're with the wrong person. And I really just have the passion for helping people to transform their own lives. And there's something so powerful in I'm not a matchmaker. I don't do the connections for people. It's like the old Chinese proverb, like I teach them to fish instead of giving them a fish. And being able to infuse this knowledge into people to see them become more confident with dating and know that no matter what happens, like some relationships work out, some of them don't. But regardless, whatever happens, if you have this insight, you're going to be okay. And I just love sharing that with people every week.
But you don't have a degree in psychology, do you?
No, it's not psychology. It's dating strategy. So I am certified.
Yeah, you are. You're a certified dating expert, a certified dating expert. I don't even know what that means.
Yep. I'm certified. Initially, I got certified as a life coach, but I always was focused specifically on dating. So then I had the opportunity to certify specifically as a dating coach with the International Dating Coaching Association. And honestly, all of it is kind of irrelevant. It's just that people like to see like seals and stamps. But I've been doing this for 15 years. I started as a dating profile writer 15 years ago. And that really, and you laugh because it's like,
No,
that was so unheard of back then, right?
yeah, of course it was, but no, but it's also a really, I mean, it's got to be a really, it just sounds like a funny job. Now, with that in mind, what are the top mistakes people make in their dating profiles? What are the mistakes?
Oh, how much time do you have? The biggest thing that I help people do is get really clear on who they are and what they're looking for. And I look at it from a marketing and branding perspective. So what some people don't realize is that my prior career, I worked in television for a lot of years. And my first career was as a casting executive and casting director. And I used to teach classes for actors in marketing and branding and how to have a headshot that really stands out and tells your story and makes me say, ooh, that person over this person. So I was online dating at the time, and it clicked that the same thing that I would tell an actor about having a picture that told their story was the same thing that could be applied to my own dating profile and profile pictures and storytelling techniques. And so that's really the core of my program, is teaching people how to do that and almost to think of themselves as a product. I have 3 C's that I tell people every dating profile must have photos that represent the 3 C's. It's color. So, like I'm looking at you right now, you have a beautiful red background behind you. Red is actually a color that is, it triggers our brain to stop signs red, stop lights red. And if you use it in your dating profile, either in the clothing that you're wearing or your background, it trains the eye to stop and pay attention, because you think of how people are just swipe, 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 swipe. Oh, let me look at this person. Then you have to go into the rest of the profile. And that's where you get the other 2 C's. Context. This is telling your story. Nobody wants to read a long profile anymore or ever. They want to thin slice and at a glance know, what are you about? And that's where context tells the things that you're interested in. And then the one that most people forget, Christine, is character. This is showing your personality through your photos and showing like the goofy side, the quirky side, the bookish side, the part that you don't normally show to people that makes you different from all of the other pretty faces that somebody would be swiping through.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Super interesting. I'm already laughing because I see color. It's so funny. I do have this red background, and it is like a color that grabs. So what would be a poor color choice in your background or in your dating profile? What's a poor choice?
Black. The little black dress is so yesterday's news. But
Interesting.
any color really is good. There are studies that show that men are more attracted to the color red. Like they took these photos of women and they showed them bunches and bunches of women, binders full of women even. And they said to rate them on attractiveness. And the men rated the pictures of the women. They changed the color of their outfits. And the women that were in red were rated as more attractive. The funny thing that the guys didn't realize as they were looking at all of these women is that many of the photos were the same woman in the same photo. They just changed the color, but they rated red pictures consistently higher than they rated green.
Oh, men. So your topic today, dating against type, that must be surprising to people who come to you for dating advice, because then you say to them, I want you to look outside what you usually look for. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's the process I was saying earlier about getting really clear on who you are and then what you're looking for. And many times people don't know. If I say, what do you want in a partner? And most of the people come to me for a serious relationship. Like, I don't necessarily need to teach you how to hook up. And there's a lot of pickup artists that can do that. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, you have to have clarity on what you're looking for. And many times we don't know. And so we tend to just attract the thing that is familiar. And we equate that feeling of chemistry with the feeling of familiarity. So it's like, oh, I've been there before. And so many people realize if you really look back in your dating history, there was something that was really similar. And maybe all of your past loves didn't look the same, but if you can spend some time identifying what is the pattern and knowing that pattern's not serving you, then we can create a roadmap to help you create a new pattern that's going to be better for you long term.
Wow. That's super interesting. I am writing a book right now called Dear Alabama, which my daughter's name is Alabama. And it's every chapter is a different guy I've dated. It's a big book. And but it's kind of it's like a little not a warning, but like it's I'm trying to wake her up to different kinds of people and why I chose them and why I shouldn't have chose them and why it didn't work out, as it were. And it is true that so many of the men I dated, the warning signs were bright and loud from the minute we started dating, but I would choose to ignore them.
Well, it's more, I think, that there's two things that you're making me think about. One is you are attracted to what you already know. So it's really hard. You have to be very mindfully working towards something different to not fall into that pattern of the thing that already felt good to you, right? Then there's also the element of having clarity on what you're looking for at the beginning, because most people haven't done that kind of exploration that you're doing, Christine. That's a really valuable thing, not just for Alabama, but for you.
Yeah. I mean, I know it is. And this topic, dating against type, I've dated guys 15 years older than me and 18 years older than me, and they were totally not for me, but it was the comfort of money. And, so I knew, but I would go with it anyway, because I guess it felt good or something. I don't know.
Right. It's the familiarity that we are attracted to. I'm actually writing about this right now. I have a column in the LA Times, an advice column, and we're doing a series on race. And so I just wrote an article about why people may choose to consistently date within their own race, and that sort of unknown feeling that comes with stepping out of your comfort zone and actually getting to know people that are different than the traditional people that you go for. So this is so layered. I could talk
Well,
about this
it
for
really
forever.
is. And it's very, very involved. It is involved, but I don't know. You impress me so much, Damona. Really, your career, your longevity, your stick-to-itiveness. You've got a lot of good stuff going on, and I'm just really happy you're finally on Storyworthy. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you
I'm
guys. We're
equally
gonna.
impressed with you, by the way.
Aw, thanks. All right, you guys. We're gonna get to Damona's story in just a second here, but before we do, I wanted to remind you guys that the Storyworthy Hour of Power is every Sunday night at 6 p.m. There are myself and 4 other storytellers telling a true 10-minute story. And Damona, you have to be on my show. You will definitely come on, won't you?
Of course.
Good.
Anything you ask of me.
Aw, you're so sweet. It's been so much fun. So basically, every Sunday night, people can log on from anywhere in the world. We had somebody from Sydney, Australia last week and somebody from Sweden. And it's just great. So watch these live stories being told from 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday nights. And then at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we're playing Story Smash, my game show. And I got to tell you, man, it is funny, funny, funny. And I held it off for a while because I didn't want to try to put this out in a pandemic if it wasn't going to be excellent. And I didn't want people to be like, oh my God, Christine, this is the show you've been talking about. This is so dumb, or something. So I waited and I learned and I got my act together. And so now we're doing Story Smash. Danny Zucker is back judging. Blanca Patch is back judging every Sunday night. So you guys, please head over to storyworthypodcast.com and you will get information on who is coming up next. And there's always a free option. All my shows have a free option. So you guys, no excuse not to join us for the Storyworthy Hour of Power every Sunday night. And we can forget about the mess our country is in. How about that? All right, you guys, she's here right now. You've heard her voice, Damona Hoffman. She is an entrepreneur, like I mentioned, and a certified dating coach, like we mentioned, and the host of 2 very popular podcasts, Dates and Mates. Now, that's the one we've been talking about that she's had forever, over 300 episodes. And her new podcast, I Make a Living. I love this idea. I love this new podcast. Like I said, I've listened to a few of them, and it's interesting. It's insightful, and to hear about other people's failures or other people's pasts and how they got to where they are, it gives me a lot of comfort. Like, whew, I'm not the only one. And if they can do it, I can do it. And anyway, it's all upbeat. It's all upbeat. I love it. I Make a Living. Damona speaks to groups all around the country, and she has made hundreds of media appearances on Fox, NBC, SiriusXM, Women's Day Magazine, Essence Magazine, People. And like she mentioned, she's also a writer. She's written in the LA Times and many other publications. You can find more out about Damona at her website, damonahoffman.com, and also follow her on Twitter at Damona Hoffman. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for the fabulous Damona Hoffman.
So now your audience knows that I'm a dating expert, of course, and people always want to know what my dating rules are. And I was a prolific dater for many years. I wouldn't necessarily say I was a successful dater, but I was a prolific dater. And through that process, I came up with 8 primary rules that I always followed. So number 1 was always exchange 3 messages before you give a guy your number, moving from online to offline. Number 2, of course, move offline as quickly as possible. In a pandemic, it's a little bit different. Rule number 3, don't let him know how interested you are. Play it cool before the first date. Rule number 4, have a brief phone call before setting the date. And now that would be a video date. Rule number 5, always meet at a place that's close by and you're familiar with. Rule number 6, stay for only 1 hour. Rule number 7, have only 1 drink. And rule number 8, don't put out. Actually, don't even kiss him. You want to leave him wanting more. So the rules are pretty simple and they're really effective when you follow them. And I believe that in life, you always have to have a plan. But then, of course, you have to be open to the fact that things will never go according to plan. So back in the summer of 2003, I had just had enough. I was not meeting. It's not that I wasn't meeting guys, it was that I wasn't meeting the right kind of guys. This might sound familiar to you, Christine. I was dating a lot of these sort of actor, writer, musician types, and I was working as a casting director. So it was very hard to tell who was interested in me for who I am and who was interested in what I did and where I could get them. And there's something about this high drama that I was always in and the unpredictability with these kind of guys that got me really excited about those relationships. That was my dating pattern. But really deep down, I knew that those weren't the kind of guys that I could really build a life with. And I started to get clear on the fact that I needed to grow up a little myself. And I needed to settle down with somebody who was smart and responsible and nice. So I started a plan for myself. I kid you not. It was called Operation DNG. Operation Date Nice Guys. I told all of my friends at work about it. I was like, this is the new dating plan. I was going to make a conscious effort to change the kind of guys that I was attracted to. So I was online dating. I put up a profile on a new dating site, and I hoped that then things were going to be different. But of course, scanning the photos, as we all do, sending messages for weeks. And it looked like the site was going to be a bust. And I had signed up for a 1-month membership. I had 1 week left on my membership. And then I was going to create a new Operation DNG plan of attack. And then I get this email from this guy, and he is tall, dark, and suspiciously handsome. And he went by the name of Mr. Pandemonium. His profile was really clever and, kind of cheeky, but I guess it wasn't all that nice with the name like Mr. Pandemonium. I don't know what I was thinking, but of course my response to him was, when can I meet you? Now, you remember my rules. Always exchange at least 3 messages before giving him your number. Move offline as quickly as possible. Don't let him know how interested you are. Play it cool. Of course. So I literally typed, where have you been all my life? And when can I meet you? So not cool. But then I wanted to double down on my cool points. So I suggested a mini golf first date. Of course. And then I got a response that same day. And I actually have the actual note, the actual email that he sent me on July 2nd, 2003. The subject line says, Seth, AKA Mr. Pandemonium. I'll read it to you. Hey, Damona, mini golfing, eh? Are you sure? If you're used to kicking guys' asses, I'd hate for your winning streak to come to an unceremonious end, ... So he's already challenging me, which of course piqued my interest. And then now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, do nice guys shit talk you in their first dates, before their first dates? I don't know. But then he goes on to say, instead, can I suggest drinks? I'm chock full of barbecues. It literally says full apostrophe barbecues this weekend. But how does Monday sound, Seth? So this was 4th of July weekend. And of course, we were very busy people. And we had lots of Independence Day soirees that were going to be inviting us to share in the festivities. I mean, the invites were bound to come in. They hadn't come in yet, but I didn't want to sound like a loser because at this point, I'm in my early 20s. And like, what attractive, successful girl in her early 20s doesn't have a barbecue invitation on Independence Day if we're not in the middle of a pandemic? So I agreed to meet him Monday. Now, rule number 5 was always meet guys at a place that you're familiar with. And I had this place, Lola's. I don't know if you remember this. They made great martinis, insane martinis. It was really close to my house. And it was a bit of a scene, but it was still quiet enough that you could talk to one another. And then I panicked because I missed rule number 4, the call. You cannot skip the call. I still do the call to this day. So I demanded that he give me a phone call by the way, I don't recommend doing any dating this way, but this is what I did. And I said, call me so that I can make sure you're not a serial killer or anything. So he agreed to call me the next night. And, he sounded nice, and he didn't sound like a serial killer. I don't know what a serial killer would sound like, but he didn't sound like one. So I had reminded myself, you're doing Operation Date Nice, guys. You have to do things different. Like I always tell my clients, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. So I was like, you got to switch it up. I can't pick the place and taking him the same old place that I've been taking him. I can't go back to Lola's. I should let him pick the place. Let the guy lead for a change, right? So I asked him where he'd like to meet. And he says, how about Lola's? So I started laughing and he's like, wait, what? Oh, you don't like Lola's? That's okay. We don't have to go there. I can suggest something else. And, I thought about it and I was like, you know what? No, I love Lola's. Let's just go with it. Maybe it was like a sign. I don't know. But we agreed to meet there at 8:30. So now we're at Monday, July 5th at 8:30. I'm sitting at a two-top near the bar. This is my usual table. And I know the waitresses, they're checking me out, like judging me silently for being there on another date with a different guy. But I don't care because tonight's different. And tonight I'm meeting a nice guy, I think. So he was a few minutes late, which is not nice guy-ish. He was Mr. Pandemonium. But I started to think maybe this is like the same old thing, different date. But in walks this guy. And he has dark hair. He has this black sweater that has the collar of a green button-down shirt just neatly laying on top of it. He's wearing gray wool pants. He literally looked like he walked out of a Banana Republic catalog. He's very preppy, very predictable looking. Nothing like the snarky, contentious Mr. Pandemonium. And I literally think the very first thought I have is, oh, he looks like such a nice guy and he's cute, but maybe I can set him up with someone else. And then I'm like, no, you're doing Operation Date Nice, guys. You're on a mission. You don't need pandemonium. You need nice. So we sit down and we start talking for a few hours. So there goes rule number 6. Then I ordered 2 martinis. So there goes rule number 7. And then he walks me to my car and he kisses me. And so basically I'm totally off the rules. But Operation DNG must have worked because a year later we were still together. And let me tell you, Nice is this guy's middle name. Like he's literally like, give you the shoes off his feet nice. Actually, in fact, he actually went to a party with me at a bar and there was a dress code. It required proper shoes. And an acquaintance of mine was stuck outside in flip-flops. And my man actually switched shoes with him and took me home so my friend could get in. So he's literally like shirt off your back, shoes off your feet nice. So I'm thinking I could just relax. And I'm over this phase of liars and cheats. And then a few days before 4th of July, I start getting antsy because I don't have any barbecue invitations again this year. So now remember, he was chock full of barbecues. So I said, hey, what are we going to do this weekend? And he like shrugs his shoulders. I don't know. And I said, what happened to all of your barbecues? I'm like, last year you're chock full of barbecues. And he says, oh, I actually didn't have any barbecues to go to. I just didn't want you to think that I was a loser. And I was like, hold on a minute. He lied. Like, just like all those other guys, he lied. And here I was trying to be with the nice guy. And our relationship started out on a lie. But then it dawned on me that these other guys were lying for selfish reasons. And they lied for themselves to get what they wanted, right? But this guy, he lied to me so that I would like him more. And there was something very impressive in that. So it turns out Mr. Pandemonium is actually a nice guy after all. And I married him. And now 17 years later, we have 2 kids and a beautiful home. And I have an advice column in the LA Times and a podcast where I teach people about dating.
Wow. That is absolutely stunning. I never thought it was going in this direction. So you are this certified dating coach and you went against every single rule that you have designed and it worked out.
It did work out, but I had the rules in the first place. And going back to what I said earlier, I was really clear on what I needed in a relationship this time around. And I really did find the nicest of nice guys and was able to execute on my Operation DNG plan after all.
I love that DNG. But why did he call himself Mr. Pandemonium? Because clearly
I still don't even know. I think, it's this idea of what we need to become to be attractive. I think I see this a lot with clients. I need to shift myself into something else. Like he knew that nice guys always pull the short straw. Like nice guys never get the girl. And that was sort of his MO for a long time. He was always the nice guy in the corner while his, forward, suave, debonair roommate would clean up. And he was like stuck with, holding somebody's hair back at the end of the night. So I think that was the image that he was projecting, but it was really clear when I started dating him, it was really clear that actually that nice guy mantra, that nice guy foundation was always inside of him. And the Mr. Pandemonium was never real.
Wow. That's so interesting. So in a way, you lucked out.
If you say it that way, yes.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking because it seems like you might not have even gotten to Lola's. Because his dating,
if I was actually doing my dating plan.
Correct. In other words, his dating profile was not on target for you, which I guess is what you mean by dating against type.
Well, but you know what it did? It ignited something familiar in me to get me to the date. And that's another thing. You asked me early on what some of the mistakes people make are. They spend too long in the virtual world.
Yeah.
Trying to suss out, wait, is this person in alignment for me? I don't really know. Am I attracted to them? Could I talk to them for 10 hours on our first date? And the first date is just like a go see. It's just check them out. See, does this line up? Do I feel a connection here?
Yeah.
And that, I think it was that enabled me to see, like in that first date, I spent 2 hours. I broke my rule because I saw that he was different, even in that 2 hours. He was so different. And he's consistent. And he's always been that way. So I really encourage people. It's harder in the virtual world now. And I have this whole system of how to move from the phone call to the Zoom date to then ultimately a distance date to meeting in person. So it's made things slow down a little bit, but you have to get offline and into the real world to see if there's actually a connection.
Yeah, you really do. And don't you think it has to do with also your physical attraction to them?
Mm-hmm. It does, but I feel like we get really caught up on physical attraction. And it ends up with a lot of my clients that they've discarded great options because of in the swipe landscape, you have seconds to make an impression about someone. And if we took a little bit more time, and I actually try to get people to hook into someone's soul, to really feel, what does this person feel like beyond just are they cute? Because so many times, once you meet someone in person, you have that chemistry and you have that connection that they may be a different physical type, they may be a different race, they may be just different than what you're usually attracted to, but it's the deeper layer, it's the values and the sense of humor and the long-term goals that make you connected with someone.
Okay, but is this not true? I'm not on a dating site now, but I was, right? And it just seemed like all the guys on the dating sites were bottom feeders, like they're on the bottom of the lake and they're waiting for a girl to swim by, and then they're going to go rawr and they're going to grab her, and they never change their profiles. Like they always say stagnant. The guys seem to say stagnant, and women seem to go on a dating site. Once they start going out with somebody, even if it's casual, they go off the site, and then they go back on the site, then they go off the site, then they go back on the site. Where men, they never leave the site. They just stay on there. They stay like bottom feeders. They don't upgrade their profile. It doesn't even seem like they're trying. They're just trying to like get you in bed or something. You know what I mean?
Some of them are. And initially,
women seem a little more clever about dating online than men.
You're right. You're right. Although I have seen some pretty awful female profiles. But initially I started working just as a profile writer for men because of that very thing. I was like, women, we're always taught from a young age how to groom ourselves and present ourselves, but nobody's talking to like my husband, when I first met him, was literally using the hand soap, soft soap, like the antibacterial for his face wash. He was just like face, body, everything. And I was like, no, you have to put like you use like a cleanser for your face. He'd never heard of it. So that's a lot of men, right?
Right.
And then they need a woman to kind of teach them about the nuances, the finer things in life. But
or a partner, anybody to smooth it out.
Somebody's got to tell them, their mama, somebody. But I have seen that certainly. But I'll give you a tip, Christine. Most women date online the same way that they date offline. So they're waiting to be approached. They're sitting there like whoever comes in or whatever the site recommends to me, that's what I respond to. But I actually teach people dating strategy and how to program the algorithm and how to search at a deeper level so that you can find people you're more connected to and then send outgoing messages. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've been working with Match.com for about almost 10 years.
Wow.
And they have a lot of data on this, that the women who send outgoing messages have a substantially higher response rate and connection rate than the women that just sit and wait for whatever to land in their inbox.
And an outgoing message is when the woman goes or to another person they're interested in and initiates the conversation. That's what you mean.
Yeah. So there's two different primary ways that as an app operates. There's the search model, like I can pick certain fields or just scan through and pick who I want to connect with. And then there's the mutual match. That's like the first one is the match version. And the second one is the Tinder version of I'm just swipe. But there is a method to the madness. You're not seeing random people. You're programming the algorithm based on how you swipe. And guess what most men do? They just swipe on everything and see, because they have to put so much effort out for any response. A lot of men swipe pretty liberally, but then you may have noticed then when you actually message them, they don't write back. So we have to treat the messages like coins in the fountain. If you toss it in and your wish comes true, that's a wonderful thing, right? You get your wish.
Right.
If you toss it in and it doesn't come true, are you going to be sitting here crying over a penny? It's just a penny. So we have to treat messages like that. And there are apps like Bumble where the women have to initiate. I really like that model. But I also really like the OkCupids and the Matches and the Plenty of Fishes where you can do really targeted searches. You can even do keyword searches and you can make matches at a deeper level and then initiate contact on your own.
And one of the filters might be where you can really like you can generalize, like just say, I'm not going out with a smoker. So then you could just say non-smokers only, right?
Yeah, you can choose those kind of filters. Like Match has a bunch that are pre-loaded in.
Yeah.
But then you can also do keyword search, which is also great on an app like OkCupid. On OkCupid, they give you questions, prompts that help them identify compatibility. Like if you both have the same ideas on politics.
But see, that's interesting. And because that's the one I was on was OkCupid, and they ask you those questions. And so when you don't have to answer the questions, but if you want to answer them, you can. So there's like 400 questions. And deciding on which questions to answer can tell you a lot about a person. Like, what questions did they answer? What questions did they not answer? Why didn't they answer that question? Are you a felon or aren't you? Just tell me, No, but there is a lot of psychology about the whole thing, obviously.
Yeah. And you, like you said, you can tell a lot from which questions they answer. You're also programming the algorithm by the questions that you're answering and how you're answering them. But on top of that, you can do a keyword search. They just announced something new called Stacks that I haven't looked at yet. It just launched this week. So forgive me, OkCupid users, if this doesn't seem the most current right as of today. But they do have search capability where you can put in a keyword. So like I've had clients that are really like maybe they're quirky intellectuals. So I might search NPR. I might search a certain author's name if they're really into something. And if those people have written that in their profile, then they will come up in the search.
That's smart.
So there's a lot of tricks that you can do that are sort of next level, but can help you match better than the computer algorithm would do for you otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like any social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Whoever you click on, whoever you like, whoever you comment on, and of course, that's going to move to the front of the queue, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you have to think of it as just the tool. The dating app is the tool that you are using to make a connection in real life. And that's it. A lot of people are like, oh, I tried online dating. It didn't work. I hate online dating. And it's like, it's not a conscious being. You can't hate online dating.
Yeah.
It just is. It's all in how you use it. It's which tool you're using and the way that you're using it. So if one app doesn't work for you, I have clients on at least 2 apps at a time. And you see what kind of feedback you get, how you like the dating pool, how you like the functionality on it. Because there's a lot of differentiation. A lot of them work in very different ways. If you hate the swipe of Tinder, for goodness sakes, get off of it and just try another app. Try a Coffee Meets Bagel where you get one match per day. If it's overwhelming for you to search, like find the system that's going to work for you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Another key thing in terms of dating, I think, is location. Like, where do you live? Like I live on the east side of LA, and for 3 years I dated guys in Malibu. Well, that was so stupid because I wasn't. My child is here on the east side. I can't move to Malibu, but I was playing this little game for a couple of years because I love Malibu. But it really wasn't. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that location is a big thing. It's a big thing. Why are you dating somebody out of state or on the other side of town if you're not moving to that side of town? I don't know. I think it's a big thing.
Because my husband lived in Santa Monica and I lived in West Hollywood when we first started dating. And the reason that he suggested Lola's was actually that Lola's was the only place that he knew in my area because he was like hardcore West Sider. And I used to say we were in a long distance relationship because sometimes it could take an hour between our houses. But
it's like 8 miles away.
Slowly. Yeah, we compromised. We met in the middle. And I didn't have kids at that time. So, there's different considerations. But this is something that I talk about with my clients when we begin a process. Because I find most people search like 5 miles. And I'm like, in most cities, that is not enough.
Yeah.
You want to keep the filter wide. And then once you make a connection with someone, as wide as you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
If you make a connection with someone, then you figure out where to compromise. But you don't want to start so narrow that not enough people can get in the filter.
Well, you being married for 17 years is like in LA, that's like half a century, That's
totally
unbelievable. How old are your children?
They are 6 and 10.
Oh, that's so sweet. You have a pea pod. A 6-year-old is just a little one.
It's just a little nugget. Yeah. But, I know you have a teenager. My daughter's like at 10, there's something that happens.
For my daughter, it was right at 13 and now she's like 13 and a half. The other day I said to her, Bammy, you want to play cards? No. Do you want to play a game? No. Do you want to take a walk? No. Do you want to go to the garden? No. And I said, how about if we just go snuggle in bed? And she goes, no, why would I want to do that? And I go, Alabama, you always like to snuggle with mama. And she goes, no, I didn't. I didn't like it at all. And I go, yeah, you did. And she goes, but I wasn't thinking that.
You're telling the story retroactively.
Yeah, it's like, man, she just knows just where to get me, you know? The other day she
Oh,
says to
yeah.
me, because she was mad at me for something, she goes, you know what? You say too much in your podcast. I'm like,
Wow.
wow, just kick me in
Just
the
giving you
gut.
notes.
Yeah.
I had my daughter read my last LA Times column.
Oh,
I was like, "Let me just see." And it was shocking. She's 10. She gave me, my husband is a writer, and I had him read it too. She gave me the same notes that he did. I was like, "You could have a future in this." She was like, "Well, you're making me think about this. Well, this question you haven't really answered." I was like, "Oh my God, what am I in for? This is 10."
they're smart kids, man. These kids are so
Smart.
bright. They really are.
Yeah.
How is the homeschooling going and stuff? I mean, in terms of, I know, right? I mean, what do we even say? I mean, it's like, I mean, my daughter's learning, but it's not the same, obviously.
Well, I'll tell you, remember, I married a nice guy, but I also married a guy that it was his mission to become a loving father. It
Oh,
was not my mission to become a mom, certainly not a mom of two. I've always been very career focused. So part of my Operation Date Nice Guys, Christine, I'd done all of this visualization, and it was much more in detail than the story really reveals. But I visualized, kid you not, that I would meet a writer who would be able to work from home and take care of the kids while I worked.
oh,
And when I met him, and the reason I went on that new app or site at the time was a friend said she met this guy on it, and there were a lot of like creatives and writers. And I was like,
yeah,
yeah, I need to get away from the actors because I was working in casting. Maybe I'll date a writer.
yeah,
I wanted to date someone in my same industry because being in television, it's a nuts kind of game. And if you don't really understand it,
yeah,
it's hard to have that connection. But
yeah.
anyways, he really loves this role. And so I think, and he's a successful writer, so he hasn't really had the time to dig into the learning as much. But we had the opportunity with the quarantine. And so he was like full on teacher mode. Thank goodness, because I said if I was responsible for it, my kids would be they would be dirty, they would be malnutritioned, they wouldn't have learned a damn thing. And I'm really grateful that he was able to step up in that way. But I'm not looking forward to it for the fall. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's hard.
maddening.
I can't even imagine trying to explain to a 6-year-old what is going on. It's like an older child, they have a little more independence, but you got a little one. And how do you even explain it?
The little ones, I feel like they're more adaptable in
Okay.
that, like, they just whatever it is, that's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
this is the situation now. Okay, we'll go with it. But they need a lot more activity. I just got a trampoline.
Oh, good.
God help me. I'm like so afraid of injuries.
Well, that's
But
true, but it has the
did
sides
it.
on it and stuff, right?
Yeah, I feel like as a mom, you just always think of what is the worst case scenario. Do you?
Yeah. Well, that's what we do. That's what moms do. But it's
I
okay.
wish I
We'll
could
roll
turn
with
it
it.
off. I know. I wish I could turn it off, but I think we'll be okay. I mean, I feel very fortunate that I have this podcast studio at home. I'm able to continue working. I'm able to work with clients virtually, and the trains can keep running on this end because I know people really need this. We are more disconnected than ever. And I think people are realizing that they would like someone to go through this experience with. And when quarantine first began, there was a lot of conversation on like, how do we make virtual connections until we can get into the real world? And now the conversation has shifted to this is what it's going to be for the foreseeable future. How do we vet someone and move offline with the right person so that we can move into a partnership
Yeah.
instead of being in isolation all the time?
If you're dating virtually and you don't like the person, do you recommend that you just go like, "Shh, I'm breaking up," and you shut down?
Just ghost, just totally ghost, just shut the app and run. No, I have always advocated for authenticity and truth and truth in advertising, truth in communication. So I find that most people are really appreciative when you're direct with them.
Yeah.
Of course, there are the bottom feeders you mentioned that will then start to chase you or attack you. Like any guys listening is so not attractive. You will never turn. You will never get a woman to
Gross.
reconsider by insulting her. But I think that there's a real opportunity for us to make deeper connections. And I've always had that system that I told you about of like, the 3 messages and then you move to the this, to that, to that. The speed though, the thing that the app, the popularity of apps impacted was the speed of dating. And we were just moving offline so quickly. People were skipping even the chat or the video date or the phone call or anything and just moving right to the date. There was a lot of ghosting happening and everybody was feeling really exhausted by the prospect of dating at all. So in that way, I'm glad that we had this opportunity to pump the brakes for a minute and do a reset and look at connections in a different way, slow down. But I don't know what it's going to look like for the future, but I'm happy that I can be here to support people through it.
You are such a bright light, Damona. Really. You've got so much good stuff to say and good things to teach. And I'm just so happy we finally sat down together.
Oh, me too. It's a delight being here. I love Storyworthy and your energy and Story Smash and everything that you're doing.
Aww.
I just wish you continued success. And
thanks, Damona.
I hope we can keep playing together.
We will, and I'll definitely get you on the Hour of Power very shortly. Very shortly. I'll check the dates right now. All right, you guys, we get to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much again for tuning into Storyworthy. Not only today, but for the last 10 years. And as you know, go back in the catalog, find a guest that you really like or a topic you really like, and listen to past episodes. They're all evergreen. They are not topical. So we won't be going back and talking about the Bush administration. You know what I mean? All right, listen, you guys, one more time on behalf of Damona Hoffman, find her over there at her website, damonahoffman.com. Thank you so much again, Damona. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
My name is Christine Blackburn saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
It's time to roll out the red carpet for, well, new carpet. Right now at the Home Depot. Choose from hundreds of styles and colors from top brands. Plus, get free installation. So whether you want to brighten up your bedroom, add a little more cushion to your living room, or, yes, add some VIP flair to your hallway, you can get the perfect carpet to match your mood with free installation from the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Can I be real for a second? That goal you have to exercise and eat better, you really can do it. But nobody is going to do it for you. And nobody has to, because you can do it if you have the right tools and a community that cares about helping you get results. And that's us, Beachbody. It's as convenient as your TV or laptop, but you need to decide that you're worth it. Let us help you succeed. Here's how. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.
With Kroger brand products from Bakers, you can make all your favorite things this holiday season. Because Kroger brand's proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Baker's, fresh for everyone.